Hello, my name is Mert Walsh. Welcome to the Mad Leprechaun. Over the past 3 years, I have been inspired and influenced by various different YouTubers, especially the next one. Join me after the intro where we meet as I said in my preamble, people that have influenced and inspired me with my YouTube channel, and today I get to meet, hey kids, it's the Missenden Flyer.
Lovely to meet you, Mert. Thank you very much for that intro, and I'm flattered that you say that I inspired you.
Absolutely.
It's great when you hear that. It's one of the things that makes YouTube worthwhile. We're
Yeah.
here at the ABR Festival, and I've had loads of people come up to me and say, and I don't believe half of it, but they say, thanks for making your videos, I bought you this bike, whatever bike it was, because of you. And I don't believe they did it because of me, but it might have helped a little bit. So it's great when you hear that, isn't it?
I actually did a bike review. Now that you bring me onto that, I did a bike review a while ago, and you feel like you're doing your best, and you try and school yourself on what you're going to review.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd done a really good job.
Yeah.
And then someone said, you need to watch more of the Missenden Flyer.
Really? Blimey. I'd like to meet that person, because I'm the same. Again, I don't claim to know anything about bikes in particular. I've just ridden a lot of them now, so that in itself
so you do get a feel for them.
You do,
yeah.
But I frequently make mistakes on my reviews and stuff, and I have to put little captions on the screen to correct them and all sorts.
Yep.
So I watch Moto Bob's videos and think,
yep,
that's how you do bike reviews.
Yep.
But my style's slightly different to his. Mine's more amateurish, but I like that.
Yeah, but people either like the style and what you do, or they don't. And I think we're going to come on to it and expand more on what you're saying.
Sure.
Because certainly Richie said something very similar.
Yeah.
Right, shall we dive in?
Crack on.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I must say welcome to the TMF tin tent.
I know.
It's never been seen before, or indeed admitted to. When you're a Goldwing rider, you're pretty much already the bottom of the pile in terms of credibility.
Oh, I don't know.
So owning a caravan as well is not a good thing to admit to.
See, a lot of people say, we're already happy because you own a GS.
I know, and then I bought a Goldwing. How low can it go? I know, flipping neck. So sorry, folks, if I've let you down. If you hate a caravan, me too. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but you've all got to sleep somewhere.
Well, this is it. I use it for going to festivals. That makes it sound more trendy,
absolutely,
doesn't it?
yeah. You're on trend. You're down with the kids.
Yeah.
Clearly, you have inspired me, but who has inspired you and your YouTube channel?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I wish I'd had early view of these. I could have come up with intelligent answers. Let me have a think. I've got one of my issues is I've got a terrible memory. So there are a few YouTubers that definitely inspired me early on, and I was lucky in that I got in. It would have been better if I got in even earlier, but I was doing this 10 years ago, so before lots of people started. So I got in a good time. There was a guy called Old Man Triple who used to do stuff, and he rode a Triumph Street Triple exactly the same as mine. It was black and gold. So I gravitated to him. He's in Australia, and he started every video of his with "Hey kids," but with an Australian accent. And I thought, that sounds really cool. So I stole it from him. I wish I flipping hadn't, because it's been the bane of my life ever since.
Because I know that at one point you did drop it.
I did, and then I had more complaints that I dropped it, so it's come back again. So anyway, so it just shows you never copy anybody else. But so that's where that phrase came. But he was brilliant, and he used to do topical videos on his Street Triple, talking about the news of the day, talking about who had been elected in the US or whatever, and he was brilliant. And then there was another guy called, it'll come to me, Elk Phaser something. There was a number. Elk Phaser 8. There was a number after it.
Right.
Brilliant guy.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he occasionally still watches my videos now. So, and I've quoted that he was the guy that started me doing this in the first place. And he's written to me and said, "Oh, I'm flattered that you say that." But yeah, Elk Phaser 1. Elk Phaser. Look him up. His videos are still there.
Wow.
Very simple videos. Bloody fantastic. So people like that got me into the motorcycling stuff. Sorry, it's turning out to be a very long answer. You got me going
that's
there.
Fine.
And then of course other people just on YouTube generally. So people like Casey Neistat, I love. All the big ones that just amazing how they've had their success.
So in case you have never seen anything that's TMF, the Missenden Flyer.
Thank you.
You started off flying airplanes.
Yep.
So that's kind of what you started doing, or?
Yes. Well, the whole name, the Missenden Flyer, came because when I'd first, I started this as a hobby, and the things that my hobbies are skiing, flying, and riding motorbikes.
Right.
And I thought, what sort of encapsulates all that? I live in a place called Great Missenden, so that's where the Missenden bit comes from.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they all have an element of flying along at speed, don't they?
Yep.
So I thought the Missenden Flyer, and also it conjured up in my mind the image of like a Victorian steam train going across the English countryside.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, like
I'm with you.
you know, like the Flying Scotsman or something.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, the Missenden Flyer, that sounds a lot good.
Yeah.
So I did videos on skiing, flying, and riding bikes. No one watched the skiing and flying ones, but loads of people watched the bike riding ones.
Yeah.
So eventually I just ended up making bike ones.
Yeah. See, when I came to choose my name, I just thought I'm not that cool, so I'm just going to go slightly ironic.
Well, I was going to say you're not that short either, are you? I expected somebody a little bit shorter.
Yeah, but I'm Irish, so that's...
You don't even sound very Irish, to be honest.
Yeah, do you know what? I had a bit of a crisis with that because, like I was saying to Richie, I sing.
Yeah.
And you get used to listening to your own voice singing.
Yeah.
And then I clearly put myself in front of a camera and started recording myself talking.
Yeah.
And I thought,
I need to sound more Irish.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, but unfortunately...
Dave sounds more Irish than you, and he's
Yeah,
not
I
even
know,
Irish.
very strange. It is very, very strange. It's just one of those things. Yeah. But you know what? I think...
It's all good.
Sorry, people. You're not dealing with professionals here.
Do you notice? Hang on a minute. I've dressed the set with an artificial plant and everything.
We put a motorbike in the backdrop.
Yeah, but really good Dave complained.
Yeah.
He's miserable like that, isn't he?
What advice would you give to someone starting a YouTube channel?
Don't do it. No, well, number one, you've got to really love all aspects of it. So don't do it if you think, it would be great to get free bike gear.
Yeah.
Number one, there's no such thing as free, folks. I would say that.
No.
But the thing is with it, I think consistency. Don't copy anyone else because you've got to be authentic to yourself, because that's, I think, part of what people like.
We'll get onto that.
Yeah. So do your own thing. Do what interests you, because that means you'll be able to do it over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So just do, if it's a bike thing, just do bikes that interest you. Don't do stuff that's not in your, sphere of interest. So make sure you're interested in what you're filming. Make sure you really do love editing. Make sure you really do love filming and playing with cameras.
Yeah.
If all that is a tick of the box, then the trick is consistency.
Yeah.
Just keep knocking out the videos on a regular basis. Doesn't matter if it's once a month.
You're doing 2.
Well, I've found the best cadence, that's a great word, isn't it, for me, is 2 a week.
Yeah.
Because I find I can have almost a life as well as make 2 videos a week. When I started out, I was doing 3, and it just got so...
Wow.
I did 3 videos a week for about 2 years consistently without any breaks.
Wow.
And it just takes over your life. So
Yeah,
you've got to manage a bit of time where you can have some downtime.
Totally.
I haven't quite got that suss yet, but 2 a week works for me.
Yeah.
But consistency is the thing. People know they want to expect when your video comes out, so don't let them down.
Yeah.
So even if it's 1 a week or 1 a month, it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent.
Yeah. In the long term, do you think a YouTube creator can make a living from YouTube alone? And I was supposed to ask that to Richie, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I just realised.
Well, there's no doubt you can, because plenty of people do.
Yeah.
I almost do. The YouTube income now is probably 2/3 of our income. I run another little company as well that does the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I partly did that as a safety mechanism. I didn't want all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
If it all went pear-shaped, because YouTube's under the control of somebody else, not me.
Yeah.
If suddenly my channel disappeared, I have to have a way of being able to keep my head afloat. So make sure you've got all that in order.
Yeah.
I do sometimes worry when I see these youngsters starting YouTube channels.
Yeah.
It's all right if you live at home and you've got your mum and dad to back you up. But if you're doing it and you are out on your own, you think, right, I'm going to give this a go and I'm going to make a living out of this.
Yeah.
Be under no illusions. Unless you've got millions of followers, you ain't going to make a lot of money out of YouTube.
No.
In fact, I made a video on how much money I make out of YouTube, and it ain't a lot.
That's what inspired that question.
Yeah, it's not a lot. So, it can be done, but you've got to be very exceptional or very unusual to do that.
Yeah.
And there are 1 or 2 in the motorcycling game that are doing it. People like Itchy Boots gets millions of views, but she's dedicated her life to that.
She absolutely
and
has.
she has nothing else but that.
Yeah.
You've got to decide, is that what you want to do with your life? I personally don't.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little story about Itchy Boots off camera.
Please do.
So, do you watch the stats on the YouTube studio?
Yep.
And if you do, how much do they affect you?
I do watch them because I'm a bit of an anal control freak,
right?
And I find it fascinating that you can actually get so much detail that you can. The fact that we can see how old are people are watching, where are they, how long do they watch for, what do they watch?
Yeah.
What are they doing in front of their computer screens? Hacking their no, you can't do that. But there's a wealth of information, isn't there? There's a wealth of information there that you can get. So I find it fascinating. Also, sometimes you make a video and think, oh, this is going to be an absolute cracker, and no one watches it, which is disappointing, but also interesting.
Yeah.
So I do watch them, but I don't. I try not to let it drive me too much, because I think you'll be forever chasing it. Just do what you like doing, and then hopefully it'll work.
I think that is the key.
Yeah.
How do you deal with nasty or negative comments?
Depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes I like the sport and get in there.
Bring it on.
Often, which amuses me, the nasty comments have spelling mistakes in or punctuation errors. So I do quite like just playing it in quotes, put it back, but with the errors corrected. So I quite like that. Sometimes, if it's a particularly nasty one, I'll pin it. So it's the first comment that people see, and then I don't say anything. I just pin the nasty comment, and then all your fans come in and say, "What is this idiot talking about?" So they all then defend you, which is great.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if I'm just can't be bothered, then I just delete it and ban them. Probably 50%. I just read it, and think, well, this is somebody I'm not particularly interested in interacting with, and just ban them.
Right.
At the end of the day, the people that know what they're doing also just ban them and move on.
Yeah.
It's more about them than you, isn't it?
Yeah. Richie, thankfully, completely different answer.
I'll be interested to see what he says.
You'll have to watch me channel.
I will.
How do you choose what you want to post on your channel? Vlog, trip, review?
Yeah. Well, there is some structure to it.
We kind of covered it, but
there is some structure to it, but there is some randomness too. So what I do, again, being a bit of an anal control freak, I have a schedule that reaches a year in advance. So I can tell you what video I'm making this time next year. But of course, I don't know what motorcycles are going to be released this time next year.
Right.
Or if somebody's going to offer me an amazing opportunity to ride a bike up the Goodwood Festival hill speed or something. When you want to make space for those sort of things.
Absolutely.
So I have a schedule, which has a again cadence to it, in that every month I do a bike news thing. So it's a monthly thing that's fixed.
Which is so worth watching. If you're a bit like me, I don't have time to read the motorcycle news.
Nor do I.
And if you, but if you want to kind of catch up on stuff that is current and happening in motorcycle world, it's just really well worth watching.
Very kind of you to say.
No, it is.
So I use that as my kind of point in the month where I start a new cycle.
Parish notes.
And I'm starting to do a new thing where I've got a few different little series that go on. Things like I do a thing called Biker Scram with Jeff and Dan.
Yep.
And I've got a few other ideas that are coming, and I'm thinking what I'm going to do is one of those every month, and have it so I have a sort of a broad spread. I don't want to just do bike reviews, basically.
No.
Also, I do tours and stuff on there.
Yep.
So I try and mix it up as much as I can.
Yep.
Inevitably, you end up doing more bike reviews than anything, because that's what, frankly, are easiest to do.
Yeah.
Because bikes get delivered to me. You know, I can make a bike review in a day. Whereas if you're going on tour, it's a week, isn't it? And a lot of effort to do it, and cost.
Right.
So anyway, sorry, I'm waffling on.
No, that's fine. You're allowed to waffle. So now it's a similar question, but what is your favourite type of content to create? How to a review or a travel?
It's interesting that, isn't it? Because there's no doubt my favourite.
I know which one's easiest.
Yeah. The easiest ones are reviews for sure, and they also get the most views, so that's a win-win there.
Yeah.
Which is why I'll always do those. Gets new people into your channel when they're looking for new bikes to buy, or whatever. But the ones I most like filming are the tours, because I love being on tour. But I don't like editing them so much, because they're a lot harder to edit. Yeah. Often they've got multiple cameras, and it's just harder to do tours. It takes ages, and also you're doing it after the event. You have to remember what happened and all that.
Right.
So I love filming them. So it's an interesting one to say, what do I like overall? I quite like doing the bike news ones, because again they're well controlled, and I know I've got to do a bike news on a particular Wednesday. I can make that in a day from start to finish. I have a workflow that works exactly smoothly. I know what that day is going to contain. I like to understand what's going to happen. But I like doing them all. As I said before, I like all aspects of the whole filmmaking thing. Yeah. It always sounds a bit pompous when us YouTubers say filmmaking, doesn't it? Because it's just, at the end of the day, we're just on bloody YouTube. But you do still have to tell a story, you know, make a film, edit it, etc. You've got to do all those same steps. And I love all that. So there's no one category I think, oh yeah, today I'm doing that. But of course I enjoy the tours most in terms of the actual.
I think tours for me. But you do know that you're not going to get the footfall.
Yes, you do, and when you get home, you know you've got a hell of a lot of editing.
Absolutely.
We did a month in Japan last year.
Yeah.
Was it last year? What year are we in?
It was last
Recently,
year, wasn't it?
It was last year.
It was last year.
And
which was excellent.
You end up, you end up with a lot of footage, don't you?
Yeah.
And then I was away for a month, and then it took 2 months of editing. So by the end of it, you're like, and of course, while you're doing that, you're still putting videos out.
Yeah.
So you've had to have had those videos stored up before you went. You've had to make 3 or 4 videos a week, so that when you're away for a month, you're still putting out videos while you're away, and you're still putting out videos while you're editing them.
Right, now I've thought of another question that's not on here.
Yeah.
Now, so I know that you schedule. I schedule, as I'm talking about myself for a moment, but I schedule 2 videos ahead.
Yep.
How many videos do you schedule?
Well,
ahead?
I'm scheduling a year ahead, so
No.
yeah, so 2 videos.
So you will
a
actually
week.
post?
Yes, I know exactly what I've got. Yeah, 2 years ahead. It's crazy. It's flexible because stuff comes up that you don't expect. So a classic example. So occasionally I'll put out what I call a bonus video.
Right.
Because something will crop up that I wasn't expecting and it isn't in my schedule.
Yeah.
So for example, I wasn't planning on making a film here at ABR, but I have been wandering around randomly taking shots.
Yeah.
I'll probably post a very quick video up from here, which will be an additional 3rd video in a week's time, quite quickly, sort of thing.
Right.
So that'll be a bonus one. Or we went to Castleton Bike Night the other night, and I don't think we were planning that, so it turned out to be really good.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is bump something in my year ahead schedule and put Castleton Bike Night in where I was going to do something else and move that one back a bit.
Okay.
So it's got to keep it flexible, but I have to know for my own sanity that I've got enough content going forward.
I'm gobsmacked by that.
Well, it amuses me
Absolutely.
when I have people say to me, "Oh, you never diss a bike because you don't want manufacturers to stop lending you bikes and stuff because otherwise you'll run out of content." I think, trust me, I've got a lot of content. It's not a problem. Running out of content is not an issue. Oh, Mrs. Flyer's coming in with refreshments. There's a mysterious arm coming in. Which one's what? Thank you. Oh, you got the Scabby cup. I do apologise.
Don't worry about that.
Thank you very much.
So much, Carol.
We only give visitors the Scabby cup.
I feel special now. Right, curveball. You ready for it?
Oh no, here we go. What?
You're gonna hate me now.
Oh,
You're really,
go on.
really gonna hate me.
No.
But
I can think of a few things it could be.
I asked Richie Vida, what do you think he's gonna say? So we already, Richie Vida and myself have already pre-thought what you're gonna say.
Okay,
right,
good.
So,
good. So remember to put his video out first then.
okay. So,
Because it'll really make no sense otherwise.
slightly topical. There's a new law.
Right.
A new government come into power. There's a new law.
Yep.
And they insist we're only allowed to have 1 motorcycle in our garage.
Right.
Now I know you've got more than one.
Yes, I
This
have.
is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, it's a tricky
So
one.
which one of your children do you get rid of? Because you're only allowed to keep 1.
Because it's very personal to me, it has to be the Royal Enfield 650, the Custom Interceptor. Because that's. I knew you said I thought I was going to say GS. Of course I was fibbing. Of course it would be the GS. We sat next to Wheelie Good's GS, which is very similar to my own. What a beautiful thing that is, isn't
Excellent.
it? Look at it.
We love it.
Not the new one, mind. But anyway, we won't go there. Yeah, of course it's the GS.
It's the GS.
Yeah.
So for why?
Rich would also say that in reality, it's just that everybody else got there first. He doesn't like to be part of the in crowd. Well, not the in
Now,
crowd.
he said GS, and I said the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
Because from day one of watching your content,
it's got to be
you've done
GS,
a
isn't it?
lot of journeys and history on that GS.
Yeah.
And you do love it.
Yeah. And it's still a great bike. I rode it recently because it sits in the garage. Basically, the bike I ride most is whichever's easiest to get out of the garage half the time.
Right.
And the GS is often at the back because it's quite big and has its own little spot.
Let's say, for those of you who don't know who TMF is and have never seen his channel, you should. But how many bikes have you got in your garage? If you don't mind saying that.
Well, it varies depending on loan bike situation, but of my own, I think there's 5, well, 6 if you include Mrs. Flyers.
Right. What bare essentials can you not live without whilst travelling? And it doesn't have to be creator.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be the phone, isn't it? We call them phones, don't we? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they're mobile computers, aren't they? I mean,
Right.
for everything from telling you how to get there to finding a hotel to finding out where the local shop is to buy whatever. I mean, it's got to be the phone, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's life generally, isn't it now? We can't live without it.
Weirdly, when I travel, I carry a little tiny small guitar, and Richie Vida's been kind of bending my ear because I just went to eat. I won't want to bring it this weekend, so don't bring it.
Yeah, could have done the magic teapot.
Well, I did last night, but
Did
I
you on
borrowed
somebody
someone
else's guitar? Fair enough.
Can you name a gadget that you use for creating your content that you can't live without? I know it's kind of similar, but
no. Well, this is very easy now. It's quite topical. We were talking about it off camera earlier, and that, of course, is my camera. I'm a recent convert to the Osmo Action 4, and it's just made my life so much easier. Not only because it's reliable, whereas the GoPro wasn't, and that's why I swapped primarily.
So many people.
But it's a lot of people say that, don't they? But it's the convenience factor, the way the mount works, the way that the little remote microphone thing just connects with the camera. You don't need a receiver for it. It's just, and also it's cheaper than a GoPro. I mean, it's a brilliant gadget. So now I film everything on that, stuff to the camera. My bike news is recorded on it. I don't have any fancy cameras. It just makes life easier. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Brilliant. Which I think is fantastic. I mean, I'll tell you how many cameras I've got, and
Well,
and
when
I'll
I
tell you how
started,
many cameras
well, I've got a lot of
he
cameras.
normally uses.
Before I did YouTube, I was a very enthusiastic amateur photographer, so I've got 3 digital SLRs at home. I've got all the Nikon lenses that go with them. I can make very high quality videos if I want to, but there's a trade-off between convenience and quality.
So how many cameras do you
I own?
No.
I'll carry with me.
Carry when you travel on your bike?
When I'm traveling,
because that's how many I carry.
Yeah. Well, and way less than that. Yeah, 2.
Right.
I carry 2.
2.
Yeah. The Osmo Action 4 on my helmet, which I also now use off the helmet as if I'm wandering around, and then I have a 360 camera for shots on the bike, and that's it.
And your phone.
Well, the phone as well. Which
so I cast that as
actually, let's count the phone.
3.
And I do use the phone for the thing that, again, we talked about off camera, where I need to zoom in on something. I'll often say, I'm looking at an amazing waterfall, but you won't see it on the Osmo Action, so then I'll mix in a bit of iPhone footage that's zoomed in.
Right.
The most useful camera is the camera you've got on you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where the phones and the Osmos work.
Wise words, mate. Like I say, I was using 5. Richie uses 6. Because I class my drone as a camera as well.
Yeah. Well, again,
do you
no,
carry
I've got a drone. I've got my license. I'm all up to date on it. It's a heavy one. I've got all the right licensing and so on.
Yeah.
Very rarely use it because it's still quite difficult to do that legally. I mean, I watch so much drone footage which I know is illegal on the internet, which drives me nuts.
Yeah.
But that just became so much of a pain to do, so I just stopped doing it.
Yeah. What is next for your channel? I think it's slightly immaterial asking this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
That's a good question. I can show you my year schedule ahead. I can show you exactly. I should just keep doing more of the same, really. I'm very lucky, or fortunate is a word I prefer, actually, in that it's got to a stage where it's kind of self-sustaining, in that people come to me with content, so I don't have to even think about that. I'm enjoying doing it. I've got it down to a reasonable workflow. I've got it to a point that I understand how much and what I can and can't do. So I don't go to bike launches and things like that. They're just too time consuming mainly, and you end up with the same content as everyone else. I've found how it kind of works for me. I think that's the key. You've got to work what works for you and your life, because I still want a life in the background.
Absolutely. So I asked Richie this question, and you jumped in basically as I was asking this.
So I didn't mean the gate crashes
filming.
No,
that's fine. But I just thought I could actually turn this and manipulate it for you.
Okay.
So my question for Richie was music or motorbikes.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say to you is,
when you asked that question, I thought, I know what question is coming here.
Motorbikes or airplanes?
Yeah. Well, the answer. Money and time, no object. It would be airplanes.
What is?
Yeah.
Right.
But the practicalities of life have to come in. There's no doubt it's more convenient just going to my garage that's attached to my house and getting my bike out and going for a ride to clear my head than driving half an hour to an airfield, checking out an airplane and going flying to clear my head. So convenience on the bike is a bit like the cameras.
Do you find the same thing with flying then?
Exactly the same. I get much of the same things out of flying as I do biking.
Right.
I love the skill element of flying. I love the skill element of riding a bike. I love the fact that you can feel the elements, the wind on the bike, in the airplane, the way it moves in the wind, you can hear all that. The fact that you can go into the sense of freedom. There's a lot of parallels, and you'll find an awful lot of pilots are also bikers, which I've learned. So money and time, no object, it would be the flying, because it's just a privilege to be able to do that. But the realities of life is it's bloody expensive. I can go for a half an hour flight and it'll cost me the same as a weekend away on the bike with the missus in a hotel.
Wow.
So that's the sort of parallels. So in the end, in reality, it's bikes that would win, although in my head and heart it would be airplanes.
If YouTube went belly up tomorrow, Andy Mully asked this, what would you do?
There'll be a moment of panic. But no, things will be okay. I think I mentioned, I don't know if we did it on camera or when we were chatting earlier, I think you've got to go into it with your eyes open. So when I started, I saved up enough money that would see me through a year, and I said to my missus, I'm going to give this YouTube thing a go.
Did you?
Yeah, and I said, we've got enough money for a year. If it's not working within a year, I'll go back to a proper job.
Right.
But luckily, within about 3 or 4 months...
Canal Lamb Chops is thinking of doing...
I know. I've watched those videos, and I will be having a conversation with him about it soon, I'm sure. So yeah, it's different. It's different if it's just you and you're starting out in life, and maybe you live with mum and dad. Absolutely go for it. That's fine. But if you're in this situation like I was, or Chopsy, with a family and a mortgage and kids, you've got to think about it seriously. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, was my thought. So I do have some other incomes. I own another little business that, if needs be, I could survive on. It wouldn't be quite such a nice life as I have now. Of course, I'm an old git, so I've got a pension that I can mature at any moment. I didn't take it out when it was due when I was 50, but I can have that. So if YouTube went belly up, I will keep my head above water. But it won't be so much fun. I'll be a bit bored as well.
Do you know what? I'm done. I'm out of questions.
Excellent. Well, it's lovely to meet you, mate.
Thank you ever so much for your time.
Oh, you're very
sorry,
welcome.
I was kind of like a little bit. I didn't want to either inconvenience or kind
Not
of
at all,
stalk
no,
you.
it's a pleasure.
It's just nice to be able to sit down with someone who clearly has inspired me to do what I'm doing with my channel, and it's nice to say thanks.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you for watching and for saying that.
Thanks ever so much.
Bye.
We're done.
If you've liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed this video for any particular reason whatsoever, please feel free to leave a thumbs down. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, and in that way I shall see you in the next one. Oh, and the next one is Dave Perry from Really Good TV. See you soon. Bye bye for now.